Hi, I'm Jared Foley. You guys probably realized that because you already clicked on this. But I'd like to share with you guys a little bit about my research topic and project. The focus of my project was Amazon Mechanical Turk, and specifically on quality assurance, quality control, using that service from the side of the employers. And I'll get into the details of that, but first I'll just talk a little bit about how I got to that topic in that area. I first started out and was focusing on basically technical communication online and specifically technical editing, quality control. And when we were doing the brainstorming sessions, I was just not very specific. I don't think I didn't have a real clear aim like I eventually got to. And it came about because someone in our class responded and said, well, why don't you look into crowdsourcing, online crowdsourcing? So I thought, okay, I wasn't really familiar with what that was besides used with information like Wikipedia, but I wasn't really aware of what that would mean in terms of technical writing online. So I did what anyone would do. I did a Google search, and I came to a Wikipedia article on crowdsourcing. And one of the big things they mentioned was Amazon Mechanical Turk. And I, of course, am familiar with Amazon, but I wasn't familiar with Mechanical Turk. So I figured, well, I'll admit I wasn't overly excited. I wasn't really sure what it was going to be like, but I visited the site and just kind of skimmed through, as much as I could without actually doing the work, just to get a feel for the system. And one of the first things I noticed, of course, was that, well, I say of course, but that's from having done all the research. Anyway, one of the first things I noticed was that these jobs that are posted on here, they don't offer a lot of money for them. Some of the jobs include transcription work, translation, website analysis, a lot of research, a lot of quantitative surveys, and things like that. But yeah, that was the first thing I noticed was this was sort of a source for cheap labor or cheap research really, but the labor either way. And then I figured, okay, well, I should check out Google Scholar or MNSU, the library website, and just see, what's this all about? Is there actual information on this? Can I get a research project out of this? And sure enough, when I just typed in Mechanical Turk, I found a ton of articles, a ton, like way more than I expected to find, considering I hadn't heard of this before. So then the next step was narrowing it down from not just Mechanical Turk, but to try and find things related to quality control, and to try and just see, okay, what am I interested in? How can I apply that in Mechanical Turk? So the first things that I started looking at were more from the side of these workers, the people who they accept these tasks that are posted on Mechanical Turk. So I was looking at kind of how do they get a feel for the system, um, how do they deal with communicating with the employers, what sort of things they look for in terms of the task descriptions. And one thing that I'll fill you guys in on a little bit because I think I rushed ahead. But so Mechanical Turk works like this. Essentially, it's a place for people to post jobs that are too complex for computers to do, but are still relatively simple. I mentioned that the pay was fairly low. Um, it's relatively simple and something that can be done usually fairly quickly. There's usually about a day or maybe 3 days max in terms of the time length. And it's usually a lot of not mindless, but things that are close to mindless, or at least they don't involve a whole lot of intelligence. It's kind of just like we need to get this done in a quickly, sort of like let's outsource it. Let's find people on this service who can do it for us. That's essentially what it is. Um, and so when I was doing the research, I was finding a lot of stuff from the workers, and that was interesting. That was still I was kind of learning about the system, especially from this research, but it was interesting, but it wasn't exactly what I've been looking for, especially when I started out and I was interested more in quality control and just the information, technical information online. So the stuff that really caught my interest was more from the perspective of the employers, the people who were posting these tasks. The things that were especially interesting in the research were this one group did an experiment where they posted a particular task with particular wording for the task description, and then they got results back, and then they tinkered with it a little bit. They changed one word or two words in the title and description, and then they got the results back from the people who did the work, and they compared the quality level of the work and the quality level of the responses too. And that's something that I found really interesting because I'm interested in of course language and sort of the negotiation that people do, especially in terms of work. Um, and so I sort of related that to my original focus on quality control. And like I said, I found a ton of research from that perspective. So my research question was slowly getting formed based on that research statement, getting formed sort of based on that research. And so the main thing that I found myself focusing on was, okay, so there's this source for relatively cheap labor where there seem to be a lot of participants, people who are willing to jump on these jobs, fairly quickly. But how do they ensure that the work getting done is up to the standards that they hope for? Because these are people who maybe have been getting work done locally. Let's say U.S. based, and in person they're hiring people or temps to do this work, but they're paying a lot more, but they're getting good quality. So it's sort of like, can they get the same level of quality or close to the same level of quality, and can they get it within the same amount of time from Mechanical Turk? And so a lot of the research was methods for preventative methods for doing this, and also the sort of the post methods, getting the results back, but being able to sort through everything and being able to ensure, okay, what I have here is what I need. This is quality work, and that it was a worthwhile investment. Also considering the labor time involved from the employer's perspective of having to evaluate this, because that certainly adds to the cost as well. Um, so so that was a lot of the fascinating research that I found. Again, I really enjoyed the article that focused on the wording of the task descriptions and task titles. And there was another one that was focused a little bit more on response times too, and it was focused partly on the pay amount, with if we pay them this much, or how quickly are we getting results, pay them this much, how quickly are we getting results, but also the kinds of results that they need. So that's what I really liked a lot about this project. There's also the ethical side of it in terms of um, the demographics. A lot of these workers that they found, it's a 2010 study that found a lot of them were actually using this for, or a lot more than expected, using this for kind of a part-time job, putting 15 to 20 hours a week using this. And so that knowledge, it sort of changes things, I think, for the employers, for the workers, because I think previously there was a study done kind of after it first came out, and previously it was this idea of it being so kind of casual and almost like a hobby. People were just like, sure, this is for a few cents, whatever, and doing it for, especially for research purposes. And so the 2010 study showing, well, actually, according to this study, according to the research they'd done, these people actually are using it and trying to get, make ends meet from it. So it's sort of, that article was trying to put a spotlight on things so that the employers were a little bit more aware of that and maybe would consider, possibly paying more, but at least, ensuring that they are paying people, because there are examples of employers out there who, for one reason or another, have scammed people, who have gotten work from them and then not paid them, and maybe they never use the service again. But that article, I think, was important to sort of shine a light on that and just have everything out in the open. This is what the service is like. These are the people using it, um, and hoping to kind of get the same level of openness from the people who are using it from the employer side of it. So that covers everything that I wrote about, everything that I was researching, at least somewhat. As far as the class itself, I went into it sort of dreading it. I was, thinking about research and theory, and right away just thinking, it sounds difficult, arduous, very time consuming, and I just didn't have a lot of experience in research, so sort of dreading it. But now, coming away from having done all the research, especially on one specific topic, I actually found it really enlightening, and I learned a lot from it. I think especially doing all the secondhand research, the lit review, the bibliographic essay stuff. Again, being able to focus so much on one topic and really getting deep on that, I think was a huge learning experience. As far as the primary research for the research proposals, I felt like, because it was so theoretical and the way that I learn is a much more hands-on approach, it was a little bit difficult to get as invested in that. I still came away learning a lot. That's something that I had never done before. So I enjoyed it. I just don't know that I was, first of all, very good at it, and second of all, again, it was just being that it was so hypothetical. I think that part of it made it just, I didn't connect as much with it, I guess. But like I said, the secondary research, doing the bibliographic essay was really helpful, especially going forward for a capstone project, for the capstone paper, I should say. So I really appreciated this class for that reason, and also just to hear from all of you guys, reading everyone else's posts about their research projects, and just getting to look at some of the articles people put up for the annotated bibliography. I learned a lot from that, and so I'm really interested to watch and to listen to other people's presentations, to see just in total what they came away from it with. So that about does it for mine. I appreciate you guys listening, and look forward to seeing and hearing yours. So thanks, guys. Bye.